WNDS Sports presents Candlepin Stars and Stripes, featuring the best Candlepin bowlers from all over New England. And now in our 15th season, your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Stripes, Dick Lutz and Mike Moore.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV as we begin the 17th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on Channel 50. I'm Dick Lutz with Mike Moore, and happy to have you with us. For Michael and I, it's our 4th year of working together, and we get to watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world.
Well, we sure do. Over the last 3 years that we've been together, we've seen 58 different bowlers, and today a wide range of experience over the next couple of weeks. In fact, the top 2 seeds both have won the Tournament of Champions, so it's going to be a real struggle if seeds 3 and 4 and 5 get up to meet Steve Plant and Gary Carrington sitting atop the 1 and 2 positions.
Over the course of the next 4 weeks, you'll see 5 bowlers in our first ladder series vie for a spot in the Tournament of Champions at the end of the season. Let's meet our bowlers who will be competing in our first match of the 17th season. First, our number 5 seed is Rich Lotti from Stoneham, Massachusetts.
Yeah, Rich has been here before, and he's back once again as the number 5 seed. Average of 120, his high single at 204. He bowled that about 3-4 years ago. Rich's high triple is 471, and Melrose Bowl is where he does his league bowling.
Rich with a 652 5-string total to earn the number 5 seed in this ladder series, and he'll be taking on our number 4 seed. That's John Zappi from Quincy, Massachusetts.
John Zappi averaging at 124. His high single is 181, high triple 479, and bowls now at Lucky Strike in Dorchester, Mass.
We're going to climb the ladder all the way to the top where Steve Plant is sitting as our number 1 seed. We're going to come back with our first match of the 17th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. We're back right after this.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire.
All right, here's a look at the bowlers in our first ladder series of this 17th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Steve Plant, the top seed, Gary Carrington, Bob Whitcomb, and the bowlers in our first match of the season, John Zappi and Rich Lotti in our 5th seed. Rich Lotti will be first to bowl here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, and we're happy to have you with us for season number 17 of some great Candlepin bowling coming up over the course of the next 9 months. Rich Lotti, the first bowler, right on the head pin.
He's got the 3 and the 6 pin with a piece of wood nestled next to the 3.
Rich is 31 years old, and he starts out by missing the spare. Rich is engaged to be married to Sandy Rogers this coming November. And he takes the 10 box to start out.
Just a real quick point of correction. When we showed everybody the ladder a moment ago, we showed you Steve Plant, P-L-A-N-T. We will need to add an E to that, as there are 2 different Steve Plants. This is the Steve Plant from New Hampshire and not the Steve Plant without the E from Massachusetts, for those who may have been a bit confused.
Especially the Plant families.
Yeah, tried to say, oh no, I qualified and I didn't realize it.
Another 8-pin drop for Rich Lotti in the 2nd box. And he'll miss the spare again.
Well, that looked pretty good. Needed the ball to go a little bit more to the left for the Deadwood to sweep into the 7. Didn't happen. He'll open with 2 non-marked frames.
Pair 10s for Rich Lotti to start out. And our first look at John Zappi, the 26-year-older from Quincy, Massachusetts, bowling out of the Lucky Strike Lanes in Dorchester. He'll start out with a half Worcester. Lots of cards and letters to get through over the course of the program and programs in the future. We love to hear from you as John takes out the right side and leaves the 4 and the 7 still standing. A 10 box, so both bowlers cleaning up the pins with 10 boxes as we start out. The lefty, John Zappi, on the head pin, but leaves a tough shot. The 2, 4, 5, and 10 still standing.
We have some added prize money to talk about this year, Dick. Our friends at Leda Lanes have beefed up the money that the bowlers can win in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions. So today's runner-up takes home 150 instead of the old amount, which was 100. The 4th position will pay 225 instead of 175. And number 3 gets 300 instead of 250. So thanks to Ray and the crew here at Leda Lanes adding a little extra incentive for the bowlers.
18 through 2 for John Zappi. Now back to Rich Lotti.
Oh, and there's more money to talk about in addition to that extra 3rd, 4th, and 5th place money, Dick. Each bowler, or each match every week, whoever has the highest single between the 2 men in the 3-game match receives an added $50.
There's incentive there, and Rich picks up the spare. This time he didn't miss the opportunity.
We're at $500 for the triple strike jackpot. As you know, we start over at the base amount every season on the first week. $500 for a 3-bagger and $10 in the home jackpot.
On the spare, he missed the head pin, only puts 3 in it. We want to welcome the newest member of sponsors of Candlepin Stars and Strikes to WNDS-TV, the Thompson family of dealerships. McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Hyundai, Nashua Mitsubishi, and Nashua Daewoo, all located in the New England Automotive Village on the Daniel Webster Highway in Nashua. Welcome to the Thompson family of dealerships to Candlepin Stars and Strikes. An 8-box for Rich Lotti. He has 31 through 4. Check it, 41 through 4. And Zappi on the head pin. Good solid pocket shot, but the 5-pin is standing. In the middle of the lane, the 5-pin was untouched. Spare for John Zappi.
Last time we saw John Zappi was back in March of this year. Number 4 seed lost to number 5 Rich Clark, 357 to 351. Very close match. John Zappi didn't waste any time getting back on the program.
And a strike for John Zappi on top of the spare. 2 marks in a row for John, so he'll have a shot at some bonus money when he next steps to the line. These bowlers are vying for a berth in our Tournament of Champions at the end of the season.
That seems like a long way up, doesn't it?
It'll sneak up on you in no time,
I suppose.
Last year's Tournament of Champion was won by Chris Bovair as he beat Joe Stella in the championship match 359 to 343. Young Chris Bovair, who bowls right out of Leda Lanes in Nashua, was our official scorer for much of the last couple of years. Paul Willett is the scorer today. 7-box for Rich Lotti. Can't afford many of those.
What a great country. Go from scorekeeper 1 year to Tournament of Champions, reigning atop everybody in just a few short years.
Sure, Paul Willett has thought about that.
Imagine he has. I think he's got his eyes on your seat, actually.
Doesn't everybody? I've watched you lust after it for the last 4 years.
Yeah, that's why we've had that little barrier built between us here in the booth. Careful, Dennis Miller could be next up here.
Missed the spare. Rich has had several opportunities for marks here in the first string, and he's been unable to convert except for one.
Do you like Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football?
No, I do not so far.
That didn't take long.
But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for a while. It's only, as we tape this, it's only a couple of weeks into the season.
Yeah. I've kind of been the other way. I kind of liked him at first, and now I'm not liking him quite as much.
It's always difficult for a comedian who has to be funny to try to be funny in certain situations. There's the double strike. And 3 marks in a row.
That's 50
we're looking
bucks.
at giving away $500 right off the bat. So he's got 50 in the bank. This is a $500 shot in our first match of the season. He threw it to the head pin, but he didn't pick up the strike.
think we gave it away twice last season, did we not, Dick?
I believe that we did. And he missed the spare. So it's $50 in bonus money for John Zappi.
More importantly, though, piling up about a 40-pin lead over Rich Lotti.
So Lotti has a mountain to climb here, 6 boxes into the first string. Getting back to Dennis Miller for a minute, when you put a comedian on the spot like that and he's supposed to make everything that happens around him funny, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Because you end up forcing a lot of things that you normally wouldn't have to force that don't happen naturally.
Lotti again missing the spare.
He is a great comedian, though. His HBO specials are great. I've seen him in person a couple times.
Different atmosphere.
And he's very knowledgeable on football, but a lot of it's forced.
There's a 10 box.
So I don't know. I guess I'm still out initially. I really liked him a lot. Maybe it was the novelty of it all. I'm a college graduate, but a lot of the words are getting by me that he's using.
Spread eagle. We've had a chance to use a couple of terms already in our first match of the new season. A half Worcester and a spread eagle.
Yep. These are terms we'd rather not have to use. We like triple strike a lot more.
2 on the left. One on the right, another 7 box. That's the second 7 box in the string for Rich Lotti. He's at 74 through 8.
And John Zappi showing no signs of letting up. In fact, through his first 6 frames, he's only left 2 pins standing, and that was in the second box.
Went across to the Brooklyn side and picked up 9. Again, the 5 pin is the only pin that's still standing, as he had some backward action. Looking for his 4th mark of the string. He's got it right on the money. John works in sales for Holman's Associates in Quincy. They're an HVAC distributor. That time he missed the head pin, but again he got a good fall. He got 6 pins. And some wood that could help. The 7 pin refuses to move.
Looked good. Had the right angle on it.
He's at 119. And a 120 with 2 boxes to go. A 46-pin lead after 8 frames of the first string for John Zappi over Rich Lotti.
Long way to go, though.
We have seen it done many times.
At greater distances. In a shorter period of time.
Lotti missed the head pin, but the wood behind is to his benefit. Missed the head pin again. Needed to get it. Couldn't get the object pin, which was the #1 pin, the head pin. It still stands a 9 box. If you look back on this first string, Rich had 4 or 5 opportunities for marks and only has 1 spare to show for it, and he put a 3 in that spare, so really he's been struggling. He's at 83.
And needs at least a spare and a 7 fill to put up triple figures.
Off the head pin. Not going to be easy. Well, he got a pretty good fall.
But could easily have been a half Worcester right side. Turned out to be the 1, the 2, and the 7 with a leaner on the corner pin.
Needs to hit the head pin here. That is key, of course. He hit the head pin, but picked it clean. It'll be a 90-something string for Rich Lotti, and John Zappi's already at 120. An 8 box. 91 first string for Rich Lotti. He will have a mountain to climb. Let's see if John Zappi Has the killer instinct in him.
A couple of marks, he's in the 150s, Dick, which gives him at least a 60-pin bulge.
Right on the head pin. Broke up the split. Has great wood.
Excellent wood. Although it is backing up a little bit toward the end of the plate.
Right side of the wood, cleans it up, no problem. He took it head on, and he takes the spare. That's the 5th mark of the first string for John Zappi. We'll get to some of your cards and letters during the 2nd string of our match. On the spare, he'll put 6. He's at 136 through 9. A dinner bucket left on the table. Not able to get the sleeper pin behind. The 9 pin still stands.
John needs to do now is avoid the 2nd string letdown after a big start like this, and it just happens all too frequently. We don't wish that on him, but something a bowler needs to be aware of.
Finishes with a 10 and a 146. A 55-pin lead for John Zappi over Rich Lotti as we head to string number 2 of our first match of the 17th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. We're back at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire right after this. John Zappi will be first to bowl in the 2nd string of this match of bowling on Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin and our entire WNDS TV crew here at Leda Lanes. And Zappi with a big lead starting out. And no signs of let up there as he buried it in the pocket. But he left a solid 7-pin. 7-pin did not move 1 iota. And it's still standing.
Toughest spare for a left-hander. You don't have any margin of error on the left-hand side. You've got to be so accurate on the right-hand side.
He opens with a 10 box, as he did in the first string. Letters from home. We're going to read some of them here during the 2nd string. Michael, you have one.
Yeah, this letter is amazing. It's from Frank Caputo in Upton, Mass. I'm a blind man who's 77 years young. Although I have been this way for 3 years, I still love to bowl, and I watch your show every week. Now check this out, Dick. This I find truly amazing. I'm still in a league, and we play at spare time in Whitensville, Mass. I have a spotter who tells me where to line up, and check this out. In the last 3 years, I've had a 418 triple. 418.
Here's a spare for John Zappi. What a great shot. The wood came all the way across the alley to clean up the 7-pin.
77 years old. He's blind legally. 418 triple. He's had a 179 single, 372 high triple, and high single of 145 as well. He's also made the 710 split, and his average is 90. This guy's unbelievable. Been bowling since he was 18, so we're talking almost 60 years, but he's legally blind, has a spotter. So Frank Caputo in Upton, Mass. This one's for you, pal. Good bowling. Thanks for the note.
Rich Lotti can't catch a break. He cannot catch a break. He threw a great first ball, left the 4-pin with the wood in front, and the wood deflected the ball away. He'll take a 10 box. That is amazing, an amazing story. I've seen blind golfers.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen a blind bowler. I don't think that I have.
Yeah, some bowling centers provide kind of a sliding rail that can help direct the ball for those that are physically impaired. Which would include sightless people and others, but I can't believe that a 179 game in the last 3 years. Huh. Frank, you're awesome, man.
And Rich put it right through the middle. The 2, the 4, the 7, the 6, and the 9 still standing. And a 7 box for Rich Lotti. John Zappi working on a spare and building his lead beyond 60 pins. On the spare is a strike.
It seems so effortless for John Zappi today.
He's in a groove right now.
Yeah. He's right around the head pin almost every time, which is always helpful. And he's been right on the spares, hitting that object pin.
And that time he missed the head pin. 4 horsemen on the right side with Wood in between the 3 and the 6, and the 7-pin stands in the left corner. Missed the head pin. The 1 and the 7 remain. $10 for John Zappi.
We last saw Rich Lotti exactly 2 years ago, October the 4th of '98. He was the number 4 seed and was beaten by number 5, Rich Clark. 428 to 356, a blowout that day, and Rich could be on his way to a similar fate today. Hopefully not, but that's the way it looks so far. In fact, both these bowlers, the last time they were on TV, faced Rich Clark. Always a formidable opponent.
Again, Rich denied the spare. $9 for Rich Lotti.
Must be a kind of a helpless feeling to be out there down 60 pins and still not being able to zero in on the target with only 1 mark so far. And it doesn't look to be getting any better.
When you hit that groove,
yeah,
very difficult.
He's in the anti-groove at this point, with the 2, the 4, and the 6 split.
And an $8 so far. Give him a 9 and a 35-4. We'll take a break. A 78-pin lead in the match for John Zappi over Rich Lotti as we go to commercial from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Candlepin Stars and Strikes continues in a moment on WNDS TV. John Zappi moves to lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, and he takes with him a 78-pin lead in the match as we near the halfway point of this first match of our brand new season. Right on the head pin again. This time he does not break up the split. He leaves the 6 and the 7. Want to acknowledge a letter we received from John Zappi from Worcester, Massachusetts. Mr. Zappi is 81 years young and a regular viewer of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. As Zappi misses the spare, as Mr. Zappi points out, he's housebound and gets a lot of enjoyment out of watching our show every week. Thank you, Mr. Zappi, and many years of continued enjoyment to you.
We hope to be bringing the show to you personally when you're 100 years old, which is what, 19 years away. You write to us when you turn 100. We'll say happy birthday to you, because Willard Scott will be dead by then. That wasn't a very nice thing to say, was it?
That's the first half Worcester. Is it the first half Worcester for Zappi? Might be his second.
I think Rich had one last string. Nobody's made it yet.
And an 8-box.
Well, he's leaving the door open for Rich to get a little bit of ground back. So Rich better step on it very hard right now. He's had only 1 mark so far in his first 14 boxes of bowling.
I see this newspaper article that you spread out on the table. Do you know who sent this one in?
It's actually from one of our studio audience members today. I think
ongoing issue for discussion on our show as Lotti surrounds the 10-pin, but it won't go over.
Cut the guy a little slack, will you?
Has been the correct spelling and pronunciation of Webster Lake. Lotti takes the 10. This one has the spelling in the headline, which takes up the whole width of the newspaper just about.
We're not even going to attempt it. Everybody knows where it is.
I saw Tony Zernicki here today. He told us he brought some goodies for us.
He brought us some Polish food.
Yeah.
Some pierogies.
Pierogies.
He takes care of us, doesn't he?
Again, Lotti missing the spare. He has been so close to so many marks, and thus far 1 mark is all he has to show for it. And he'll take a $9. Rich Lotti is probably at a point where he'd like to call timeout and say, can we start over? 76 pins, the lead for John Zappi. Zappi on the head pin leaves the 2, the 4, and the 7 on the left side.
I think we should probably announce that the Kahala is no longer in business. The reason I mention that is because during the summer reruns, it actually closed back in May, but a lot of the shows we did last year talking about the Kahala have been running all summer long till we started the new show today. So be advised, folks, Kahala is no more.
10 for Zappi. A new restaurant is opening up there.
Yeah, the buffet.
Perhaps we'll have more to tell you about that in weeks ahead, but they've been telling us at Leda Lanes they've been getting a lot of phone calls from people asking about the Kahala.
People driving up to have dinner, which we're glad they did, but we're sorry there was no way we could let you know. We didn't know it was going to close when we did our last taping in April. It went up for auction in May, and they're essentially expanding it into, as I understand it, an Italian and a Chinese buffet. And I'm trying to figure out what the connection was, and then it came to me. Marco Polo went from Italy to China, right?
Oh, that must be it.
So that's all I could figure out. Italian and Chinese.
$10 for Zappi. 95 through 8. Rich Lotti, an opportunity to cut into the lead if he can pick up a couple of marks.
Not that John wouldn't be trying, but do you think he's got it on cruise control right now and perhaps saving some energy?
Could very well be as he looks at the scoreboard. You'd like to see Lotti get hot a little bit.
Come on.
Will that last pin go? The wood surrounds it, and this looks like a mark he will make. But then again, watch out. The wood is backing up, backing away.
But he doesn't have much choice. He's pretty much got to use the wood. He's in danger of capping it if he goes to the right.
He's got the spare for Rich Lotti.
Listen to that round of applause.
So now if Rich can put a couple of marks together, he could conceivably make it a little bit interesting. A high single of 204, so it's not impossible for him to get hot. He puts 8 in the spare. Wood out in front of the 4-pin. The 4-7 still standing. The 7-pin will not go.
Yeah, the wood wasn't angled at all, which would have swept the 7-pin away had it been, but it was almost at a 90-degree angle.
$10. That one hurt. Would have been nice to see him make that one and cut into a little bit.
Remember, the high string today bowler who bowls it gets an additional $50, part of the new bonus money structure as put up by Ray and his crew here at Leda Lanes. Extra money for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th seed bowlers as well. Extra $50 each week.
John Zappi answers with an 8-pin drop on his first ball.
I want to mention that here at Leda Lanes, even though fall leagues began several weeks ago, as it always is the case, a lot of bowlers drop out, or not a lot, but a few do, which means that they are still in need of bowlers in a certain time slot. So if you'd like to give Leda Lanes a call, there might be room for you to bowl where we do our television taping every month. Give me the phone number.
Actually, talking with Sean Howard, the manager here at Leda Lanes, before we began taping today about league bowling, and Sean was saying that most bowling establishments are in the same situation. Leagues are starting. There are spots for just about anyone who would want to bowl at their local bowling center to call the local bowling center, and they'll find a place for you on a team in a league, and you'll get a chance to bowl on a regular basis.
They will. You will not be turned away. And by the way, Leda Lanes has a website now, if you'd like to check it out. Communicate with them that way. LedaLanes.org. L-E-D-A Lanes.org.
Nice shot.
So that's a spare in the 10th frame for John Zappi, who had gone spareless for 6 boxes prior to his markup here in the 10th. He'll throw a bonus ball, try to add to his 115.
115 plus this ball, and this ball is a 9, so it'll be a 124 second string for John Zappi, as he really distances himself from Rich Lotti. Lotti needs a couple of marks here to stay within sight.
Continues to
starts
go
with a half Worcester.
Continues to be off the head pin to the right for the most part. Really can't see anything mechanically that he's doing wrong. He's just not putting it down in the right spot.
That's kind of like the way you were when you bowled me last year.
I've been advised by my agent not to discuss it now until you agree to a new match. So you're not going to get anything else out of me.
If the stakes are right, I'd consider it.
Motivated by money.
The champion usually dictates. The champion usually dictates, you know, the purse, the venue.
Yeah. Well, then go ahead. But I have nothing further to say.
All of the perks.
How was your summer, by the way?
It flew by.
As reigning champion. Now the 2-4 and the 10.
And he did get to 100.
Yeah, barely. Huh?
It'll be a 101 second string for Rich Lotti. A 78-pin lead for John Zappi, going to the third and final string of our first match of the new season. And we're happy to have you with us as you watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on WNDS TV. We're back right after this. Rich Lotti will be first to bowl in the third and final string of our first match of the new season, and he has a mountain to climb. 78 pins, the deficit he's staring at as he trails John Zappi in our first match of the season. Lotti the 5th seed, Zappi the 4th seed. Waiting in the wings at number 3 as we climb the ladder in our first ladder series.
Bobby Whitcomb.
Is Bob Whitcomb.
Haven't seen him for about 3 years, so it'll be good to have Bobby back next week.
Lotti on the head pin after the half Worcester, but didn't get much of a fall.
I think Rich Lotti needs to pray to the patron saint of big comebacks, and that would be St. Rich Hallis, the Hawk, who mounted a massive comeback against Joe Ashline in the Tournament of Champions a couple of years ago with a 66-pin deficit and 3 frames to go. I'm sorry,
8 frames.
8 frames to go. That would be something. 3 frames, huh?
He starts out with a 5 box, which is not a good start. Nice letter from Neil Kane. Came in the mail. Neil's from Cambridge, Massachusetts. A loyal watcher of Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Watches all the bowling shows, or has watched all the bowling shows since they've been on. And here's a spare for Rich Lotti.
Trick shot.
Long time coming.
And that brings a smile to his face. There you go.
Let's see if he can rattle off 7 or 8 in a row. Thank you to Neil Kane for writing in, and we'd like to hear from you. The mailing address for Candlepin Stars and Strikes is WNDS TV, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. And Zappi puts it right through. John will open with an 8 box. Lotti needs to mark the rest of the way, and Zappi needs to open the rest of the way, virtually.
Right now at 146, John Zappi in a commanding position to take the highest game award that we've instituted this summer, or this year, this brand new season. $50 for the bowler with the highest game each week, added by Leda Lanes.
And that will be a 9 box for John Zappi. All right, let's see if Rich Lotti can run some marks together, pick up some bonus money, and have a good string to finish up the match.
See if he can avoid going too far to the right, which has been his biggest problem on his first ball pretty much all day today. He's
getting married in November. He could use the cash. Let's have him put 2 marks together. But he puts a spread eagle, well, almost a spread eagle, right through the head pin. Puts 5 in the mark.
Now I know why he's been going to the right all day, because when he hits flush on the head pin, he gets the terrible breaks.
The only bonus money we've given away came in the first string. That's when John Zappi put a spare and 2 strikes together. And he actually had a shot at the $500 triple strike jackpot. Threw a pretty good ball, too. He, right in the pocket on the Brooklyn side.
Yep.
And he got a 7-pin drop. Lotti missed the head pin. The head pin goes coming from the back door.
All right, what do you do with this one, Dick?
You throw it down and you just close your eyes. You might try to cap the wood on the left and hope the ball deflects off of it.
That's what I'm thinking too.
No, he's
kind of split the difference there. Wasn't sure which way to go.
And that will be a 10 box for Rich Lotti.
So as we climb the ladder, Bob Whitcomb appears next week. 2 weeks from today, it's been almost 3 years, but Gary Carrington, holder of 5 WCBC titles, will be here as the #2 seed, and Steve Plant is the #1 seed, and he far outdistanced himself from the rest of the field with 740 in the qualifying round. Gary Carrington was next at 661, so 79 pins ahead of the rest of the field. Steve Plant will be our top seed. You'll see him 3 weeks from today.
Look at this shot. Look at this shot. Great shot by John Zappi as he played the wood on the left-hand side, and it came all the way across the lane to pick up the spare. Put 9 in the spare for John Zappi as he continues to pile it on.
Needs a 130 for a 400 triple.
Threw it by the 10 pin. $10 box for John Zappi. John's lead is 85 with 6 boxes remaining as we go to the break. We're in our 3rd and final string of our opening match of the new season, and we're at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. And you're watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Rich Lotti moves to lane 34 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire.
85 pins and 6 frames. Can it be done?
I guess mathematically it can be done, but realistically, it would take something just the side of a miracle.
3-4 strikes in a row would certainly make it interesting.
Once again, I want to welcome the Thompson family of dealerships: McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Hyundai, Nashua Mitsubishi, and Nashua Daewoo, all located in the New England Auto Village on the Daniel Webster Highway in Nashua, as our new sponsor of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Happy to have you with us. 10 box for Rich Lotti. Nice letter from Claudia Crocker, who sent in an article from a magazine called Reminiscence, all about bowling. Got a great old shot of bowling alley in Pennsylvania. It was a 10-pin bowling alley, but
looks like it might be an ABC tournament.
So many people standing around. It's got to be circa 1940, 45-ish, I would think. Maybe a little later than that, but it's a black and white photo. And great article from Reminiscence magazine. Thanks to Claudia Crocker of Everett, Massachusetts, for sending it into us.
Showed a factory in there producing bowling pins.
I saw that.
Some of the behind-the-scenes things that go into making bowling what it is. We do appreciate all the mail, and we get lots of interesting mementos and old clippings and old stories, and it's kind of fun to hear them. Today's very busy world of video games and teleconferencing and internet, it's fun to just kind of relax and hear the old stories. There's a strike for John Zappi. who was our number 4 seed. And I should mention that he and Bob Whitcomb tied in the roll-offs at 659 each. So Bob Whitcomb and John Zappi, after they rolled off, had one more game, and it was Bob Whitcomb 121, John Zappi 111. As he looks at the double here, John Zappi ended up in the lower position because Bob Whitcomb beat him by 10 pins. Didn't mention that earlier. Thought we should, in case anybody wondered why they were tied on the ladder.
Another mark for John Zappi. There's a little note in this article from Reminiscence magazine. It says in New England in 1841, 9-pin bowling was so popular. That's one I never heard of. 9-pin bowling was so popular, especially among gamblers, that it was outlawed in Connecticut.
I think I know the story of 9 pins, if I recall correctly. And this may go back pre-1800, possibly back to puritanical times. Something to do with outlawing the playing of 10-pin bowling on, I think, Sunday, the Sabbath. So to get around the 10-pin, what they did is they took away the 1-pin to make it 9-pin, and suddenly it's a different game.
Huh. And it wasn't covered by the law.
It wasn't covered by the law. It was one of those loopholes. Probably one of Alan Dershowitz's ancestors found that one.
Lotti with a 7-box.
And then I guess the game of 9-pin stuck around for a while because people still played it as another variation of bowling. One of many, many variations and permutations. Oh, I'm using Dennis Miller words. Sorry about that.
Rich with a 7-pin drop. The 3, 5, 3, 6, and 10 still standing. An opportunity for a mark here. He cannot buy a mark. It's been that kind of an afternoon for Rich Lotti.
Think Rich will be watching the replay of this
I don't think
Saturday
so.
at noon?
I think he'll want us to burn the tape. 10-box for Rich. He's going to need a mark to break 100. John Zappi well in control of this match. Spread eagle that time on the spare. He'll just put 4 in the mark.
So it'll be Zappi and Whitcomb next week.
You think?
Rich Lotti will take home $150 for his efforts today.
Kind of going out on a limb there, aren't you, Michael?
Yeah, it's pretty brave of me, isn't it? Well, last year at this time we were making our Super Bowl picks. I don't think either of us were anywhere close. I think you had Jacksonville winning, and I think I picked the Giants.
I thought for sure I said the Rams.
Well, we can pull the tape out and check that if you'd like. I'm quite confident you did not.
Oh, nice shot by John Zappi.
Should put a plug in for Rich Lotti's place of employment. He does some managing and works in the kitchen at Florentina's in Cambridge, where he's spent for quite a while now.
And there's Rich Lotti with a strike. Looks back at the crowd with a grin. Where was that all afternoon?
Well, you know, it could still happen here. There's $500 waiting for 2 more strikes.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Wow, what a twist of irony that would be, huh? Lose badly and still win big money. Not to be.
Missed the head pin.
Well, he did improve every string.
A 103 and a 3-string total of 295. Zappi working on a mark, looking for some bonus money. We've only given away $50 in bonus money in this match, back in the first string.
We should also add that John will get the $50 for having the high string of the day, which is 146 in his first game.
Another mark and another opportunity for bonus money.
Very generous Ray Simino is adding extra prize money all season long here on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Thanks, Ray. Bowlers, thank you.
Happy to hear Ray is recuperating nicely from a recent illness. Looking for bonus money. Will it go? It will not go.
There it is, 400 on the nose.
A 400 triple for John Zappi. And a 105-pin margin of victory for Zappi over Rich Lotti. We'll come back to meet our bowlers and look ahead to next week when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. In the interest of time, we have Rich Lotti standing right here to accept his runner-up check for $150 and best wishes getting married in November. Rich Lotti, our runner-up here this afternoon. Let's go right to our bonus ball contest, and John Zappi will roll a ball and we'll try to match him up with a winner at home.
Yeah, always a very popular number, 7.
7, and Mike Moran will reach into the bin.
Look for $10 prize.
And the card is not completely filled out.
No.
We've got to fill out the cards completely, folks, when you send them in with your name, address, and
This
phone
one
number,
is
etc.,
filled out.
etc. This is Walter Markowitz Jr. of Lund Road right here in Nashua, New Hampshire. He selected an 8, not a match. A consolation prize from N&R Trophies goes to Walter Markowitz of Nashua, New Hampshire. And we have, for 10 free strings of bowling, Raymond Pino of Derry, New Hampshire. He also selected 8, but that's not relevant, but he gets the 10 free strings of bowling here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Let's bring on our winner this afternoon, John Zappi. Congratulations to John. $50 for the highest string and $50 in bonus money and a chance to move on. You seem to be in a groove this afternoon. You got it early and you stayed right with it.
Yeah, my ball was working a little bit. I was doing good. I was hitting thin. I was getting some action, you know. Rich just didn't have it today.
When you got the big lead early, does that change your approach at all?
No, I just keep throwing the same ball and just do what I can.
And you stuck right with it and had a 400 triple. We'll see you next week, John. Thanks very much. John Zappi, our winner here this afternoon, and he moves up the ladder.
Yeah, Bobby Whitcomb, who we haven't seen for about 2.5 years, and then it doesn't get any easier with Gary Carrington and Steve Plant 3 weeks from today.
Thanks for joining us. We're into our 17th season of Candlepin Stars and Strikes and ratings show that you're out there watching in great numbers every week, and we're happy to have you with us. From Mike Moran and our entire WNDS TV 50 crew, I'm Dick Lutz from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. So long, everybody. We'll see you next time on Candlepin Stars and Strikes.